All right, so one more day in counting, and today we're going to see how to do the basic defense against 12+1 basic strikes in short distance against the batting, okay? So first I would like to thank for the t-shirt to the senior grandmaster Al de la Cruz. This is awesome, really good. So when we were discussing about the 12 basic strikes in short range, we were just seeing that there are two possibilities. One, by using the batting, remember, and the other one to punch straight. So if you see it from the front, again, one, that will be strike number 1, 2. Then on the second strike, it will be from this angle all the way through, or you can punch with the fist all the way through. So you notice there's going to be a difference, right? So one of the reasons why I said that those skills that you're going to learn on how to block in short and short to medium and mid to short range and mid to long range are not applicable to strictly short range is because you cannot do the same things. You cannot now depend on the stick, because we are talking about this distance in which the person is so close to you that the person can elbow you, can knee, and obviously the stick is not going to be as useful anymore, not in that sense, meaning I cannot extend the stick at all. In this case, we're basically just constrained to striking with the puño or with our fist. So knowing that, remember that I talk about two ways of dealing with the strikes. One was opposing the strike, meaning striking the strike, and the other one was parrying or redirecting the strike, and whether it is this way or this way, okay? How do you deal with that in short range? How do you deal with that if someone is just clearly just using this portion of the stick? Well, then your main focus should not be on the stick itself, but it should be on the arm. So while before our main goal was to literally strike the strike, whether it is in short to mid to short range or longer range, now here, as I said before, you cannot do this. It's not useful anymore because I'm attacking with this portion and this is very tiny, and then my main focus should be the forearm. Now, if I just go like this, 45 degrees down, and I strike with the stick, and I go like this and I punch, what do you think is going to be the difference? So mainly is not only the angle, I could definitely do this with a punch, but it's also how are you going to close that gap? How are you going to deflect? How are you going to block that with your arm? So if we take the first case, meaning using the batting or puño, I could oppose by using my hand. Let's say that the hand, this is the hand, and the puño is like this, coming this way, okay, like this. So I could definitely block it like that, okay? I could block it. Now, the problem is, if I oppose and the strike is coming through and the other person is stronger, I'm gonna have a hard time. So, can you oppose? Yes. Is it useful? Well, it depends. It could be useful. But now, the first rule that we're gonna learn is we're not only going to block, but we're gonna block and angle a little bit to the side. What do I mean by that? If I'm in front of you and the strike is coming this way, 45 degrees down, I'm gonna block and move it out of the way. That's gonna be the first rule if you wanna oppose. At least you're gonna deflect a little bit of force towards the side rather than just eating. But again, that depends. If the other person is stronger than you are, that's not going to be useful. So enter the second way of dealing with that, which is redirecting. So if the strike is coming this way, what can I do? I can parry from the outside, same way that you would deal with a punch. So if I go like this, you can block and move out of the way, or you can deflect and move out of the way too, but now in this case, you're gonna move your face out of that way, okay? I can just let it go to the other side. Now, knowing that and thinking about that, think about what would be more useful. Well, it depends. Sometimes this is useful for, if you're strong enough to block it, because you can counter immediately to the other person's face, and that's going to be one option. And the other one is going to be useful whether it is a strike with the puño or a strike with a fist. So if you have to choose just one, I would say the flexion, in this case, the flexion is going to be more helpful than just purely blocking, but you have two options. So again, just see me from the side, block the first number one, and I'm moving out of the way. And this is actually just one block. It should be blocking and redirecting. Look at it how I just block by twisting, by adding more power, so I can take advantage of my body rather than just my hand, but also how I extend a little bit the arm, because what I want is to redirect that towards that energy into a different direction, so it doesn't actually go through my face, okay? So that's how, if you want to oppose against number one, but as I said before, it's more useful to just redirect with the hand, okay? So what happened with number two? Same thing. Now the number two is coming this way. We're talking about the person is striking with the, obviously with the hand, with the stick, and not coming with the empty hand. We will deal with that in a future video. Right now we're just looking at it. So number one will be here, number two will be like that. In this case, if you're the one attacking me, it will come this way. So I can block. As you can see, this will be opposing the stick, okay? In this case, we'll be just blocking. But now if it's redirecting, I can redirect just coming from underneath. But look at what happened. If I just go like this and we're in short range, what's gonna happen is probably it's gonna continue all the way through. So I think that is a better case, in this case, it's better to just use the blocking and then use the other hand to strike. This is something that before was more complicated because it's so short that I won't be able to be efficient. In this case, I can block and I can strike at the same time, okay? So again, if it's coming this way, look at it, you can block and then you can strike with the other hand. It will be short, but you can totally strike that way. So whether it is strike with a puño or strike with a fist, same reaction, is going to be blocking. And as I said before, yeah, technically you could redirect with this one, but it's too risky. So I would not even encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to just block it. And I would rather actually to strike and put more emphasis, or block it and get out of the way and take advantage of that movement, or even block and move to the front rather than trying to redirect from the inside. So again, we have number one and number two. Number one, I would favor the redirection. Number two, I will favor the blocking with the strike. Okay, so we have 1, 2, now 3. Remember that the 3 can be strike with a puño, striking to the belly, or literally punching on the belly. Both are going to be very similar in the sense that if the puño is coming this way, I want to get rid of that. I want to oppose that, okay? So again, if we're opposing, I'm going to block it like this. I'm going to block with twisting my body so it doesn't hurt that much, okay? And in this case, I can try to use the other strike to the face or strike to the same hand that is attacking me. So again, I block and I strike with the other hand, striking with the stick, or blocking and striking with my stick to the other person's face. So again, whether it is striking to the hand or striking to the face, you're going to block and strike at the same time. That is if I want to oppose. But what if I want to redirect? Look at how the strike is going to be this way, and it's going to continue, right? And if it does, even if it doesn't, look at how it looks like, okay? So from your perspective, you could technically check that down instead of opposing, blocking, and pass it through. Similar to if you have ever practiced anything relative to Filipino martial arts in knives, it's similar to passing with one hand, palm down and to the side. This is a little bit riskier, but there's a way to deal with that is simpler. Clip your elbow to the side and then you want to palm down and to the side. It is important that you do both, that you just don't go straight to the side, because chances are that if the other person is quick enough, obviously, it's going to be more difficult for you to just palm to the side and you're going to miss and then you're gonna end up eating the strike just because you didn't touch the hand, okay? So to avoid that, protect yourself, keep your belly tight, go just down, and whatever it is that you make contact, push down into the side. That's it. So again, one would be opposing, blocking, invert blocking, and strike, and the other one will be underneath, passing to the side. That's it. Now, number four is kind of similar, and I'm gonna say kind of similar to the one that we were discussing before, in the sense that I was still prioritize the blocking and the strike, but now we can redirect a little bit better. I'm gonna make a quick distinction between that strike, number 4 coming in this way, and number 2 coming this way, and why you can do it now and you couldn't do it before. So if you block it, it's gonna be the same as I said before. The punch is coming this way, right? So in this case, it's coming, on my direction, it's coming from that angle. So if I just block it, I can just lower my body. I can use the forearm to block it. I can strike right away. That's okay. Now, in this case, I can block and I can redirect, same way that you were doing with the other angle, in which you are pushing down into the side, and you favor pushing down and towards the other person. That's very important. Why? Because if I just go like this and I try to emphasize the pushing towards the side, by the time that I reach that position, the stick is already far enough for it to reach me, even if I redirect. So I might actually end up pushing against my own body, which is bad. So again, down and towards the other person and towards the side. So down into the side. Okay, so we have this, which is block, and we have this down into the side. Now, why can we do the same when it's this high? If the stick is going to progress in that manner, and meaning it's going to come this way, number 2, right? In my case, you will be attacking number 2 in this angle. If I go like this and I try to go low, look at how much extension do I have to do and how little force do I have to compensate. So that's not going to be useful. So that's why in this case, it's going to be difficult for you to redirect in this direction. Okay, it will be difficult. The only way that you could do it, as I said before, is by going upwards. But as I said before, I would not even recommend that, because if it's something coming this way and I block, or not even blocking, but I try to come all the way through, first I would have to be very quick to do it. Okay, super quick. Not only amazing reflex, but I also would have to make sure that I have the proper angle so it doesn't hit any part of my face. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why on this side, on number 2, we're not going to see the same thing, but only blocking. And in number 4, we can totally block, as I said before, and redirect towards the other side. Now we have the defense against number 5, and the defense number 5 against the end of the stick, and against the punch, the uppercut. So if you look at it from your perspective, this is how it's going to look like. And if something is coming this way, if you follow the same principle of going against, meaning striking the strike and then redirecting the way we were using before, it's a little bit different from when you do the strike up with the stick than when you do an uppercut. Why? If for whatever reason I'm this close on this range and I go upwards like this, yes, I can emphasize the stick, striking, meaning opposing the strike, and using the other hand, like I did in the section of the mid to short range. As you remember, it's like a little circle followed by checking with your hand. Now, I can do the same thing in this case, and that is okay. The problem is when it comes with a punch. It's going to be more difficult for you to redirect on, or in this case, to strike against a punch, especially because of the trajectory of it. Remember that the trajectory is not going to be all the way up to this side, it's going to be all the way up to this side, okay? So if something is coming this way and I can redirect and check, that's fine because I'm using 2 hands in one and I have a higher chance to succeed at blocking that efficiently. There's just one thing that I want to point out though. When you do that, if it's coming this way straight, I'm going to choose the stick so you can see it better, illustrate it better. If it's coming this way and I just choose to do it vertically, chances are that I'm going to be meeting the stick with my fist. To avoid that, I'm going to angle a little bit. You see? Angle a little bit, but describe the same circle as you were doing before, like this. Okay? So not vertically in this case, try to angle it a little bit. Okay? Now, once I've said that, we have one option, as I said before, opposing the stick and checking. But now what happens when it comes with the punch is going to be very similar, except that now what I'm going to emphasize is the pushing. Okay? I'm going to push away. I actually don't want to use the same block in 45 degrees and in a circle. I'm going to use the same angle, meaning I'm going to meet the punch coming this way with a stick, but I'm going to emphasize the pushing out of the way, striking like that, and then I'm coming back. So again, rather than going in a circle, strike and come back, okay? Strike and go back. So I want to emphasize again, striking the forearm, in this case, it's trying to punch right there. Move your head away so you are also out of the target and push with the other hand, okay? So again, one rather than this way, okay? So now how can we redirect the same strike? So if the strike again is coming with the uppercut with the end of the stick, such, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna angle a little bit and I'm gonna redirect towards the other side. As I said before in prior videos, I like to angle a little bit, especially when something comes vertically, because I want to avoid the risk of being hit on my hand as much as I can. So I'm going to angle a little bit towards the side and I'm going to redirect. In this case, emphasizing the circle and checking with the other hand. Okay, so again, this and checking on the other hand. So this and checking over the other hand. What happens if it's an uppercut with the punch? Same thing, I'm gonna now exaggerate the movement towards the side and I'm gonna angle and strike that. So again, this and check with the other hand. As you see, it's the same as when we were discussing the opposition. I don't want to just focus on the circle and that's it. Excuse me, in this case, I really want to emphasize moving towards the side and striking. That way I can move it out of the way and I can check. So again, this and out of the way. Why? Imagine this is coming this way. It's very short. Look at the small distance that I have. So I cannot just emphasize the circle. I have to move out of the way and then push with the other hand. That way I can have a higher chance to succeed with that. Now we're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have 6. Remember that 6 is now coming this way. 6 and 7, right? It could be this, or it could be a punch. It could be this, or it could be a punch. So whether it is the puño or it is the fist, I'm going to treat them the same way. Why? In this case, look at it from 5 I went here, 6. It's coming, if you're from your perspective, if you're the one attacking this way, I'm going to actually block. And I'm going to treat it similarly to what I did in number 2, meaning I'm going to block and strike right away. Okay, I'm going to block and strike right away. So it's going to be 1, 2, but in one move, one motion. Okay, so I'm going to block it right there and I'm going to strike. Now, can I redirect? Same thing as I said before. Yes, technically you could do that, but it's risky, so I would not recommend. So for number 6, it's the same as number 2. I'm gonna block and strike. I would rather you to block and get escape out of the way and not waste time than trying to redirect with your body by going kind of in the same direction as your strike is coming to you. So again, block, okay? Particularly, why? Because if you move, let's say that, look at it from your perspective, if I do this and then you're trying to redirect by escaping this way and moving towards the other side, guess what? I can still extend, especially now that you're moving out of the way, I can extend and still hit you with the stick. So to avoid that, block and escape that way. Okay, so I'm gonna be attacked this side, I block and strike, that's it. For number 7, look at what happened. We were doing 6, now 7. Number 7 now is coming this way. I'm gonna treat it like a number one. I'm gonna angle similarly as I did before, but now the only thing is I'm going to also angle my stick. Why? Because before I could kind of get away with that by doing this. But now, since the attack is coming from this position, as you can see, the arm is positioned more in an angle than it was before. Before it was 45 degrees down, in this case, kind of horizontal. So I want to meet more with my block, with my arm in an angle. If I'm going to oppose, as I said before, I'm going to oppose first, and I'm going to meet with this a little more angle than I did before. So again, it's going to be the same concept, blocking and striking. If you want to oppose, although the same as I said in number one, it's going to be very difficult for you to just oppose. I would rather you to go and redirect. Now the problem is, look at it. If number 6 is coming this way, number 7 is going to be this way. How can you redirect? The problem is that before I could pass it through to the other side. The problem is when I try to do the same, the stick is still within range to extend, especially when you're being redirected towards the other side, right? So how can we solve that problem? So if the stick is coming this way, I don't only want to rely on the hand, although I could, but in this case I want to redirect and use this kind of a way to stop the stick from going. So in this case, I'm gonna go 2 in 1. So again, 2 in 1. So now we have that response against number 7. Again, number 7, from your perspective, if I'm actually the one attacking you, number 7 will be right here, right? So if I'm going to go number 7 all the way through, if you don't use your stick, but you try to redirect, chances are that I can still strike you, right? But if you use the stick right here and then move it at the same time, then you can have a higher chance of succeeding into moving that towards the other, to the other side. So again, I'm going to redirect and coming from underneath, move out of the way. One more thing that you probably have realized I'm emphasizing over and over again is move your head, because you don't want to only depend on your stick. The same way that when you're doing punches, and then in the future we're going to cover that in empty hands, the same way that you don't want to just rely on your capacity to move your hands, you still have to move your head out of the way as much as you can, so you're farther from the trajectory or the original trajectory that the other person is intending to attack you. And that way, even if everything else fails, you're still not going to be there right where the other person is going to strike you. So again, redirecting, movement out of the way, and clear. Put your hand and your stick so it's easier for you to redirect. Again, where I'm going to do it from the side so you can see it better, the attack is coming this short. So I have very space to play around, so I have to move my head and then push this out of the way. I can check with the other hand if I want it, but right now we're just talking about defenses, okay? 1, 2, that's it. So now we have 6 and 7. So round down is going to be 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now question is, what happens if the 7 is the same? As I said before, 6 and 7, I'm going to treat both of them the same way. Okay. Whether it is this or whether it is a punch, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to redirect this and I'm going to escape out of the way. Okay. Now 8 and 9. So 6, 7, all the way through 8. So 6, 7, 8 is going to strike from underneath. Remember that this could be actually going to the balls. So now, same idea. You're going to block it or you're going to redirect, same as 3 and 4. In this case, it's much easier, right? Because the attack is coming on this side, okay? This is number 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to block by going a little bit lower. So the problem here is to manage to lower your body on time, but it's very easy if you take into account how the other person is moving. So if you're just moving, if you're just reacting by putting your hand, it's not going to be enough because the other person has lower is going to strike up, right? So the moment that you see the other person lowering the body, mirror that, go low, and then you can block. Same thing as before, you're going to block with your forearm, and again, you can strike right away, that's going against, or you can redirect here, down and towards the person who is attacking you, down and towards the person who is attacking you, and towards the side. So you do the little circle, and again, don't open too far, don't leave it out of the way because you're in close range. You want to be as close to your body as possible to come back to a powerful position and also to defend yourself. So block, down and to the side, that's it. Down, block, into the side. And again, I want to emphasize, do the little pushing towards the other person's body, because if you just emphasize this, the movement will continue, will just continue to a different direction, but it might continue to progress towards your body. So instead of being hit right there, you might be hit on a different part of your body and it's still painful. To avoid that, block and push against the other person's body and to the side, that's it. So now we have covered all those. Now number 9 now is coming this side. Now, in this case, we're gonna use the hand, same as what we did in number 3. If you remember, we were blocking with our hand and then we were using a stick like this. Now, we're gonna lower our body, we're gonna treat it the same way. We're gonna block the punch and striking at the same time. If I look at it from your perspective, if I finish 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 is coming this way, it's going to be very difficult for you to just oppose by doing this, and your body it might be too much force to compensate, but again, depends. I would definitely focus more on the redirection. So how do you redirect? Block down and to the side. Now in this case, you can use your stick down into the side to redirect as well. Although I would keep this stick to always counter to the other person's face. So if you have a good block and redirection, you can free the other hand to attack. That's going to be useful for the future when we see in the next videos the blocks and the counters, okay? But in this case, again, we're going to emphasize lowering our hand, lower your body, and in this case, the hand, if you want to redirect, don't oppose it, put your palm down, and as I said, clip your elbow to your body so it's not disengaged, so you can compensate with your entire body rather than just using your hand, which is nothing. So again, down and to the side. And the same as I said before, the down and to the side is actually down towards the other person, meaning the attacker, and to the side. If you just go down to the side, chances are that the stick will still hit you. Will not hit you in the same spot, but it might hit you in a different part of the body, making it difficult for you. So again, down and to the side. Do a quick rundown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now 10 and 11 are going to be very similar to 6 and 7. It's just that it's going to be above. So if the 5 is coming this way, the 6 is coming this way, the 7 is coming this way, the 8 is coming this way, the 9 is going to come this way, now the 10 is going to come this way. Guess what? It's the same as what we were doing before, same as one, blocking and striking. As I said in the beginning, if you can block and add a little bit of extension, it's going to facilitate a little bit the deflection of the strike of the force. So in this case, you're not just going to meet that, but you're going to angle a little bit. Same as if you do it from the side, you block and angle a little bit. So 10, you block and strike right there. And again, imagine that this is coming too close. Move your head out of the way and strike. Now, question is going to be, well, isn't it a little bit too close to the hand? Meaning to the batting. The batting is coming this way, right? So if I block it and I have just a little, how are you going to strike without hitting your own hand, right? So if you do this, there's little escape, there's little space for you to strike without hitting your own hand. Well, because this is actually meant to be towards the fist, meaning if I'm doing it like this, if I'm striking like this, the block, is going to come this way, and the strike is coming towards my fist. Now, what happens if you don't meet for whatever reason? Then chances are that you're going to meet still going through rather than going straight. And you don't really have to. The moment that you press against the stick, you're still going to be successful, at least to minimize the damage, okay? So that should be your goal. Your goal should be number 10, to block and then try to strike the fist rather than trying to target the wrist. Got it? So 10. Now, again, no redirection in this case. Yes, technically you could do this, but it's too risky. 11, we're gonna oppose the same as 1, opposing in this case, and striking, okay? That would be opposing, but I would much rather you to redirect towards the other side. Now, when you redirect towards the other side, same as before, keep in mind that in this case, when we were using the puño and in this angle, okay, rather than this, the difference is when you move it out of the way, it's easier for you to deflect it completely to the opposite side, right? Because the angle goes from here all the way to the side, and that's enough for you to escape from being hit, okay? Problem is when you strike like this, and then you just deflect a little bit, and then it continues towards your head. So again, for the 6 and 7 and 10 and 11, and you have to modify those a little bit. So I would say for the 11, in the case of the 11, you will block, when you're redirecting, you're going to pass it through, but put the other stick on the other side. So it's easier for you to redirect. Don't also depend on just a stick, move your head out of the way, but still definitely put your other stick so you can clear much quicker and much better towards the other side, okay? So we have that, and now we have the 12. Now remember that the 12s are going to be this way, whether it is 1 or 2. In this case, sorry, this one or this one, right? So in this case, look at it. You're aiming for kind of vertically to my face. Now, in this case, I would definitely prioritize the redirection, same way that you were doing before, but you're going to use the stick together. It's one move, that's it, okay? I would redirect more than anything else. The blocking might not be reaching on time. You might not be able to block efficiently at that time. So I would definitely favor moving out of the way and clearing, and at the same time striking with the hand. Now, can you oppose that? Can you block it and strike with the other one? Yeah, but in this case, this is coming actually straight down, so it's actually even more difficult, because as you see, if it comes straight down, chances are that you're still going to be hit, rather than if you move towards the side, you can still skip a little bit, meaning you can technically do like this, like in Wing Chun, for example. The problem is that chances are that you're going to still be hit with the stick somewhere, right? So to avoid that, again, to avoid the trouble, because this is going to be very painful to block, again, there's nothing to compensate with. You just have your form. You don't have the rest of your body, for example, for when you clear and pass it, in which you can literally push with your body down and towards the side, which gives you certain advantage. In this case, you're missing that advantage because it's completely separate from your body. So to avoid that, I would say clear by just pushing out of the way. Now, again, that will be this 12, but what happened with this 12? Well, I'm going to treat it pretty much the same way. I'm going to treat it the same way. I'm going to clear. The only difference that I would say is, like, if you see that the angle now is coming from this direction, meaning you're attacking me, I can move out of the way, and yes, I can strike right away. Meaning I can really use that to strike the stick from this angle. I don't need to, in this case, to close. Now, why wouldn't I use this against number 12? It seems like it's something that you could use by clearing and striking right to the other side. Well, the problem with that is, like, if I just do it like this, right, and look at it from the front, and I succeed a little bit, and I move it out of the way, there's still chances that I'm going to receive the strike on my hand. So I don't want to be like, I don't want to be in the middle of your trajectory. So if you see me striking you from this angle all the way through, the better chance will be to move it out of the way, and whether it is from this angle or this angle, to put it from the top of the hand. So yes, you clear, you pass it, but then you move it out of the way with the other stick. So again, here and move it out of the way. So again, here and move it out of the way. Now, as I said before, this is now long range. So this is not intended to hit someone in the head, but it's enough for me to know that I can redirect the strike, okay? And look at what happened. Now this is facing the other person, so I can easily go back if I wanted to. So that's another advantage, that I can prepare already for a next attack. So again, move it out of the way, strike, and that's it. I clear all the way through. So I know that it's a little bit tricky, because if you are thinking about mid to long range and mid to short range and mid to long range, they're kind of similar in the sense that you're striking all the way through. It kind of have the same ring to it. But when we talk about defense against a puño, in this case, whether it is the puño itself, or it is a punch, is in such a short space that it's going to be difficult for you to really move it and do anything, right? So you cannot really oppose, in this case. You would have to emphasize your form, and you have to block it, and you have to really change your mindset into, focusing more in the form. So anyway, I hope that this is useful, and see you in the next video, in which we're going to talk about strikes and footwork. Ready?